process for our families. And today I'm so excited because I've got Dale Troy. Dale is a college success coach, and she helps students transition into college and helps, we talk, Dale, on my show a ton about just the stress that these kids are under these days. And, for anybody watching, I got so tickled and excited when I met Dale because I've never really seen somebody just focusing on this age group, and they need the help. So I'm going to quit talking for a little bit and have you tell us kind of more about what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I've had 3 daughters who have graduated from college, but the stress level has been increasing year by year over the last 10 years, I think. And colleges are really having a problem with it. They don't know what to do. They're really
I
struggling.
completely agree. And we all know COVID was not a help, right? I mean, that put things at a whole new level. But even before then, you're right. Things were escalating. Things were getting tough for these kids. And give us your thoughts on kind of why that was happening.
There are many reasons potentially, but I think the biggest one in my mind is social media. Kids started comparing themselves. The expectations for themselves are so high. They put so much pressure on themselves, and it's really difficult.
I'm gonna throw a couple more on top of that.
Okay.
I'm convinced that it's all the parents' fault all the time, right? But I do think that the years of helicopter parenting did not help anybody, and obviously, I mean, I was part of it. We were in that group where you didn't feel safe necessarily sending your kid outside to play by themselves. And, so we felt like we had to be on top of them all the time. So I think we all did the best we could and with what we knew, but I don't think that we did our kids any favors by being there 24/7.
No, I totally agree with that. I try not to say that too often directly to the parents because, they feel terrible. Like they messed up. But yes, I think that is a large part of it. And we just didn't give our kids enough responsibility compared to what we had, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I know, because you see all the Facebook posts now, right, where they're like, we used to stay out until the street lights came on, and we did, we had a ball. And during that time, we had to figure out how to get through fights and how to, just deal with people a little bit better than I think our kids have been able to do. We didn't let them practice that as much as we got to practice.
So. Yeah, totally. And I also think the world is just more competitive. They're competing, even to get into colleges, they're competing with international students. We didn't really have that. It was a rare international student who was on our campus. So the whole world is more competitive.
You're right. I mean, think about all these select teams and, that you had to be in it since you were 3 to be able to even be considered, for most people to be an athlete. Yeah. So that you're right. There's just a lot out there. And then, of course, overscheduling, that's happened during our lifetimes. And I'm putting you and I in the same kind of time frame, right? I've got 2 kids, one that's going to graduate this year, yay, and one that, in 2022, and then one that's 23 years old. So, I mean, like I said, whether we like it or not, there was this time frame that we all lived through that we did the best we could, and some things were great and some things not so great.
Absolutely. But it can be, quote, fixed. I mean, there are things that we can do now to help our kids, and that's really where I come in. I'm trying to get parents who are still have high school students to realize that it's a good time to start pulling back and letting their kids have more responsibility and taking on their own life, really. But if that isn't happening, if I'm talking to a parent who already has a college student, there are also things that they can be doing and to help their child be more successful in college.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you help kind of coach. Do you coach the parents or the kiddos? Or both?
Well, interesting. I have a Facebook group for parents of college students and high school students. And in that group, I'm giving them all sorts of advice in a community setting. And I do talk to them individually often. But my primary focus really is working with the kids. And what I do is I work, generally one-on-one. Are you
Well,
seeing something?
tell me what your Facebook group is, and I'm going to put that in the chat so that we have.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. My Facebook group is College Parent Support Community.
Got it. All right. No, that's awesome.
And
I mean,
it's a great group.
yeah, and I'll tell you, Dale,
Go ahead.
knowing how it feels to have a kiddo in college, and sometimes you don't know, what to do about certain things. And we all know we just got past October, which I let my parents know about that all the time, just about how, especially for freshmen, how that's kind of when the reality all starts hitting them. They start getting tired of the roommate. They are not as cordial anymore to each other because they're like, whoa, they're not going to change, and we start, and they're tired and they don't have enough sleep and all those things. But as a parent, it's been 35 years since I've gone through that.
Right.
So I love that you got the group for the parents. That's awesome. But tell us more about what you do with the kids, because that's really the heart of this.
Yeah. So with the kids, I work with kids who have graduated from high school and know where they're going to college, and before they get to college, like the summer before or in the spring. I have a program. We teach them the to feel, everything from time management, how to create their own structure for the day, everything from that to making sure they get enough sleep and what's important to know about sleep and things like that, have daily healthy habits, how to deal with their stress, a whole range. It's really a holistic program. So I'm teaching them kind of a combination of life skills and skills that are essential for being alone on a campus without your parents there.
Got it. So the best time frame for a kiddo to take your course is when?
My favorite time frame is just that, right before they go to college, because then I feel like they're prepared. I prefer to be proactive rather than working with someone, who's already having various challenges. I mean, I do that. In fact, probably more of the students I work with are in that boat. They get to college and then all of a sudden they're overwhelmed. They can't keep up with their work. They're exhausted. They're getting sick all the time. I mean, all sorts of things are happening. And then I have to restructure what they're doing, work on their habits, and, peel back to figure out what the root cause is, what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, and I think too, when I'm talking to students, and a lot of my listeners know that I work with students to help them figure out a career path and a college major, and kind of for a lot of the same reasons, because I want to help get them ahead of this stressful time, to be thinking about why they're there, just to kind of calm their nerves, that they do know what they're doing, or at least they have a plan. So that, that's another reason I really appreciate this. But what I find is that as we inch closer to them leaving in August, that's when they're super excited, but that's when some of the fear sets in. And I would think that would probably be a good time for you to go, let's talk about how do we manage this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's totally my favorite time. And like just last summer, I'm thinking about this one girl who was getting ready to go to Colgate. She didn't even want to go to Colgate. So she was in a bad mood, but, we were trying to set her goals for the year and all sorts of things. And she was in the beginning resisting it because she was just so unhappy that this is where she was landing. And by the end of our working together, she just felt so much better about her decision. And she was feeling really, proud of herself for feeling organized and on top of the situation. And she's loving Colgate, and I'm so happy. She just went in with a much better attitude, and she knew that she had skills to help her deal with whatever was going to come up when she got there.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, as parents, and I've seen this happen with both my boys, they'd be getting ready for college, talking about it. And all the parents would always be like, it's going to be so much fun. Oh my gosh, if I could go back, you're going to have this awesome time. And, we fill their heads with all the greatness, which was what we remember, right? Because by the end of the 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it ends up being, we were having an awesome time. And I think we forget that first semester. I really think the first and the second semester, and I want to talk to you about the second semester in a second, but those are really stressful. And we forget about that because we barreled through it, right? We grit, we made it through it. But there were tough times for us too, and we just don't remember. And I think that we do our kids a disservice by not kind of preparing them for that and just going, hey, listen, this isn't all going to be a bed of roses. You have to get out there. You've got to meet people. You've got to do all these things, and preparing them for that. So that's why I get so excited about what you do, because we just don't do enough of getting them ready for that.
Yeah. I know. When I first started this business and I was thinking about like how I could explain it to parents, I kept saying to them, do you know how much effort you're putting into getting the dorm ready and what to buy and the lists and everything? I mean, that's okay, but there's so many other things that we're not talking about that are really going to be essential for your kids to know and to, just feel like they know what's going to happen when they get there. It's not all about the dorm.
You're cracking me up. I use that example too. I do.
Really?
And you're right. It's fun. And I go back to, as parents, we're doing the best we can because there's a lot to get done to prepare your kiddo for school. Yeah. Right. So, that's a really big reason too why College Planning Untangled started, is trying to help, get this stuff in front of parents so that they can go, oh, okay, that's a good idea. Let me handle that too. Right. And get ahead of some of this stuff so that they're not looking at a kid at Christmas and going, oh my gosh, they're miserable, and Christmas is coming up for us. And for people that right now it's December, for people watching this, past this, just mark it on your, calendar to have this discussion with your kiddo. But when they're coming home for Christmas, that's when the rubber meets the road, where you've got eyeballs on them and you're figuring out that things are not maybe as good as you thought they were. Right.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Even Thanksgiving, that happened to some parents.
Yep.
I was just talking to. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just talking. Sorry.
Okay.
I was on a walk with a mom of a freshman, and she's like, "Yeah, things are not going as well as I thought they were." And I was like, you know what? You kind of, if you can, this time frame between, and it was an issue with his roommate, and that the roommate sleeps until 4 p.m. So he walks in and has to sit in a dark room. And I was like, you kind of want to get ahead of that before they come back home for Christmas, and have them have those conversations with their roommates then, so that he can decide, does he want to try and get a new roommate? Does he want to try and work it out with this roommate? What does he want to do? Because otherwise you don't want him to be sitting at home for a month and then not want to go back, and have that anxiety and frustration.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was talking to a mom this morning who has a senior in high school. And I mean, this is also the reason why it's for everyone. It's not like, she knew, and I love this mom. She said, my daughter is fantastic on paper. She's done super well. Her SAT scores, all the rest of the stuff. But she said, I've been behind the scenes managing the whole thing. I've been like the project manager behind her. She doesn't do anything except for study. I drive her, I feed her, I do her laundry, I tell her when to do her homework, when to go to bed. So, that she recognizes it. I'm glad. So that's why she was interested in having her daughter work with me, so she could be more prepared herself. But I also told her, you can now start pulling back and letting go more, because it requires that as well.
It does. And I call it a promotion. I'm like, hey, you get to be promoted to a consultant at this point. You don't have to be the manager anymore. And, embrace that. This is what you've done for the last 18 years, is prepared them to be able to get out there and do this stuff. So it's like, yeah. And, a lot of times parents will be like, what do you mean by that? And, my thoughts, and definitely I want you to jump in, is it's like, guys, don't give them the answer. Ask them questions. This is the time to just be like, tell me more. How can I support you? What do you tell me what you need, and let them figure some of this stuff out before they leave.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I've had a conversation last night, and a parent asked me, what do I do when I feel like I want to give them advice on something? And I said, well, first of all, before you do that, ask them if they want to have you listen, or do they want to have you give them advice? That's the first thing, because a lot of times they just want to vent. This is somebody who's already in college, they're having a problem. They just want somebody to listen and know that they care. But then in addition, before you just give them advice, ask them, as you're saying, say, well, what do you think? What are your options? What would you do? Let me, hear what you're thinking, so that they can start to realize that they are the problem solver. They need to be the problem solver.
Well, and they have the answers. A lot of times they have the answers, and even those little wins that I've seen, when they've made a decision and you're like, oh yeah, I think that's a good decision. I mean, that's a win-win, right? Because they're like, oh, okay. And it's all about this confidence that I think that they need to have. And, how do we promote that these kids have confidence that they can make good decisions? So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's, at one point in time, I was thinking of calling myself a confidence coach, because I think it really comes down to confidence, just believing in yourself and knowing that you have the tools and you can do it. The whole mindset is so important.
It is. And that, college is about so much. And I think that's a big part of it. There's absolutely getting there, studying, expanding your knowledge and your really your mind to different ideas and thoughts. But a lot of it is what you're talking about. It's growing up and adulting and getting to flex your muscles a little bit in ways that you haven't been able to do before. And it's such a growth period. I every time my kids came home from college, they changed, for the better. It was always this, you could just see them growing up. And I would hate to have any kiddo coming back feeling deflated, And so, yeah, I think Troy or Dale, the more we can set them up for success and do what you do, where it's, letting them know what's coming so that they know to be prepared for it. That's the biggest thing. And by the way, you're not mom and dad, so they're going to listen to you. And we all, that's just the reality of it. Right.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I have had many parents say to me, I can't believe my child's using a planner now, because they've refused to use a planner for years. And I've been telling them, and they have 10 planners in their room that they don't use. So yes, it requires somebody from the outside. I'm sure the same thing when you work with students as well.
I'm giggling because I always hear too, they're like, they're really quiet. They're really not going to talk that much during class. And I'm like, let me try, and I'll tell you about 98% of the time, it's all good, that they're willing to talk and participate. So, yeah. What haven't I asked you about what you do that you think would be important for parents to know? Is there anything we missed?
That's a very good question. No, this has been really, really good. I mean, I think kind of what I was talking about with this woman this morning, that just because your child has been good in high school, don't expect it to be a smooth transition to college, because it's so different. And it's not enough to be smart. There's so many other aspects of it, of doing well in college. I mean, I was not the smartest kid in my class, and I graduated at the top of my class. But that was because I had the right habits and skills and attitude. And it requires a lot of things.
Well, and you're right. In high school, we have structure. Yeah. We have to be at school at a certain time. We have to be home at a certain time. We've got sports. We've got this. We've got work. We've got, mom and dad saying we're all going to go to church on Christmas Eve. There's structure in place. And you know as well as I do, when you get to college, that's kind of all gone, and you're in charge of your own structure. So it is a very different world that they're stepping into, and one they're very not, definitely not used to. And so I agree with you. Even though successful high school students will struggle in college for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also because they were successful in high school, they get to college and they aren't feeling like that, they can really feel terrible about themselves. If they're not getting the good grades, or they're not popular all of a sudden, or whatever it is, it's really hard for them to deal with.
It is hard, and I think you're right on that too, and especially the real popular kids, you're right, they're going someplace and they might know 1, 2, 5 people or nobody, and they've got to start over. And when you've, had this same friend group growing up, a lot of these kids from kindergarten on, it's tough to walk into a situation now where you've got to put yourself out there and start from scratch. And man, that's hard for anybody. That's hard for me. I walk into networking groups sometimes that I don't know anybody or a party, and I'm like, wow, okay, I have to buck up and go break into a group and start talking to them. And it's never comfortable for me.
I feel the same way. It's my least favorite thing to do, is to go into a group of people I don't know.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're so young, they're like 17, 18.
I know. And, I just love this age group because there's so much excitement, so much, energy there. And it just breaks my heart when I see that 30% of these kids that go off to college don't go back after freshman year. And I think all of these things play a role in that. It is about not having goals, and understanding why you're there. It's about, being pushed into this environment that you might not be completely prepared for. You might have a couple setbacks, so building that, just building that confidence before they go, I think is a huge, huge opportunity. And then be able to support them on the back end as a parent to allow that space for them to come to you and talk and feel comfortable that, that you're going to treat them in a way that honors the fact that they are 18, 19 years old and that they can make great decisions. And, that's what we're here to do, right? Is to help parents and kiddos navigate through this. So.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Now you've got a course coming up. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Actually, I don't know when you're listening to this, but next week, December 7th, 8th, and 9th, I'm doing a 3-part training on the actual skill sets that kids need to have, 3 specific ones in order to be successful in college. The 3 are structure, right? Creating their own structure. The second one is self-care, which includes everything from stress management to how to eat properly. And then self-advocacy, making sure you can get the help you need, know where to get it, make friends, feel comfortable on the campus, those kinds of things. So I'm going to go into detail on those and I'll answer any questions parents have. So it's going to be fun.
Okay. So is this for parents, students, or both?
I've written, I've put it out there actually for moms because my group is primarily moms, probably 99%. But any parent, I am regretting that now. So any parent is fine because somebody already asked me that. Yes, all parents. And if your child is interested in joining, fine. But yes, it will be fine for anybody.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then you also have something that they can download right away, right?
Yeah, let me also offer you a free gift, which is, it's called The 6 Secrets for a Successful College Experience, which is basically a lot of what we're talking about today. What habits and skills kids really need to have in order to do well in college. And it's all written out there for you, so you can use it as a reference. You can start working on these things one at a time. And yes, I will offer anybody who wants that.
Great. And then for anybody listening, we will put it into the YouTube feed and we'll also put it on our Facebook comment so that you can download that right away. If you're like me, high activator, I like to do it, like jump on it right now. So give us 5 minutes after the show, because we'll want to be chit-chatting a little bit afterwards, and then we will add that to the Facebook page. As well as, guys, if you are want to put any questions into the comments, we both Dale and I will jump in and answer any questions that you might have, basically for resources, questions about what Dale does, what I do, and we just love to help. So, Dale, thank you so much.